Whenever a franchise gets big enough, it's almost certain that there's going to be some form of a spin-off. Spin-offs have large appeal for a video game company. No matter what it's going to sell, as the franchise already has a fan base and all the characters' game locations have already been made. For a player though, they're very hit and miss. For every Mario Party 2, there's always going to be a Sonic Spinball. With Rayman 2 being very successful and establishing Rayman as a franchise, it was time for a spin-off in the form of Rayman M. Well, there was also Rayman Jr., but that's an educational game, so it doesn't count. So is Rayman M an enjoyable standalone game for the Rayman series, or just a lazy cash-in? Let's take a look. This game is split into two different gameplay styles, races and battles. Races are more like Sonic R than Mario Kart, as characters run on foot. Unlike Sonic R though, the races play pretty well. The tracks are fairly linear, although do feature shortcuts and alternative routes. Each course feels pretty unique with their own features and course design, so you don't feel like you're playing the same track over and over. You can shoot purple balls to activate switches that can screw over other races, and it's pretty fun. Now, racing games put characters in cards, as it's hard to have a game be fast and control well at the same time when a character is on foot. This is why Rayman M takes a slower pace when it comes to the races. The controls are basic. Your character constantly runs forward, and all you have to do is go left, right, jump or shoot. For corners you don't have to turn, instead the game makes the turn for you as you approach it. Even though the races can feel slow, this control style means that they can get very competitive, especially when you're neck and neck with opponents. Choosing the correct path and hitting boost can take you from first to last very easily, and you have to be smart to get ahead. This is also helped by the fact that there are no items, unlike in kart races. I can't complain about the lack of items though, as you don't really notice it, and when you come in first place it's all about skill rather than random luck. The races also include extra modes like collecting lumps and things like that, but they aren't as good as just normal racing, so they're not going to hold your attention for too long. The other gameplay type is battles. They involve fighting other players in an open 3D arena. This mode actually involves using items to attack enemies, and these items are all really cool. The item I like the most is the glue bomb, where if it hits you, you have 9 seconds before it explodes and takes 3 points of damage. To ruin friendships, you can go up to other players and touch them, and that will pass the bomb onto them and it will blow them instead when the timer ends. Using an item revolves around a lock-on system similar to Rayman 2. You hold a button and straight relative to whoever you're looking at. When you're against hard AIs or friends, you're going to need to use tactics to hit them, which can also include not strafing and using free aim. The battles are just as competitive as races, if not more, due to how frantic they can get when 4 players are in one arena attacking each other. Out of the two modes, I prefer battles. Races can be kind of dull sometimes, but battles are always entertaining and all over the place. Battles also include extra modes, and these are actually pretty fun. The main mode is called Lump Fight, where everyone has 5 points of health and you must use items to knock down each other's health. But there's also a mode where you have to collect glowy balls placed randomly around the map, and there's also another mode called Capture the Fly, which is a bit like Oddball from Halo. Somebody has the fly and you have to attack that person to get the fly and hold it for as long as you can. All 3 of these modes are fun, and as they're just as frantic as each other, even though I do prefer to play the standard Lump Fight. Despite being called Rayman M, the M is for multiplayer, you can play through the game single player. There is no overall plot in this game, but you play in different leagues, and once you've beaten enough events in a league, it unlocks the next one, with each league containing 3 racetracks and 3 battle arenas. You will need to play alone to unlock the extra playable characters, which can be a pain as some of the leagues later on get very difficult, but it isn't too much of a big deal. The single player is good for getting used to the maps and practicing playing the game, but it's the multiplayer where this game shines. If you have the PS2 version, you can play 4-player split screen, and it's great. I remember playing this game so much at a friend's house when I was younger and just having a great time due to how crazy the battles got. Battle mode overall is what you're going to want to play in this game, and even though you can have some fun in the races with 4-player, it usually becomes very obvious who will win after the first lap, because once somebody gets a head start it's very hard to catch them up. The Rayman games each have their own certain tongue-in-cheek kind of charm, and Rayman M is no exception. From the opening cutscene at the beginning, this game is filled with small humorous touches, from the crazy weapons to the weird looking animation each character has. The graphics in this game look really nice, with each character model looking a lot smoother than they did in Rayman 2 The Great Escape. The maps also look great, as each one is detailed, and despite this game being based off Rayman 2, there's a lot of original areas to fight and race in. Rayman M at its core is a fun game. You can get a lot of enjoyment out of it, especially when playing with friends. However, this game really lacked any sort of real depth to keep you playing apart from just messing around with friends. This doesn't take much away from the game itself, but it's definitely lacking as an overall package, even though it does feature a large amount of courses and arenas. This game was released on PS2 and PC, and I have to say that the PC version does suffer as it only supports 2-player, so if you want this game, go for the PS2 version. My score has to be 6.5 out of 10. Playing battle mode in 4-player is always going to be fun, but I can't give it any higher as overall it feels like a shallow experience. There are also 2 other versions of this game. One was Rayman Arena, which was actually the American version of this release that had added content, and Rayman Rush, which only featured the racing. I haven't played these games unfortunately, so I can't give them a separate score.